Hello and welcome to the last word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Your Saturday night starts right here for our listeners and viewers, of course, on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us, Spurs. With another win, it's obviously now 7 points out of a possible 9. We've got 3 great returning guests to the show. If you're listening to us for the first time, and where have you been? We're on iTunes, on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're, of course, on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs. We're on Facebook and Instagram too. And listen, let's talk firstly through the panel we've got tonight. Looking more golden every time we see him over the past month on Last Word on Spurs. It can only mean one thing. The crazy train's in town. It means McQueen is in the house. Lee, how are you, mate?
Mate, crazy train is back. What a crazy game that was. Game of 2 halves. I am getting bronzed up, of course. The bronze Adonis now, I think. A lot of people think I'm that bloke off of that auction program on daytime TV, which we won't name, but David Dickinson. But yeah, no, really good. I've been sourcing the Beavertown. It's taken a while, Beavertown, to be fair, but I've been sourcing the Beavertown over in Spain, and I've got there in the end. And another 3 points. Sometimes it doesn't matter how you get there. I'm sure we'll get into that. It was literally a game of 2 halves, but I think we're sitting pretty nicely at the moment. I think if you look at our record last year, Southampton at home, we lost. Chelsea away, we lost. And Wolverhampton Wanderers at home, we lost. Cheers, John. I'm loving that.
Looking hot there, Lee. Look at the compliments flying in already. Not 2.5 minutes, Lee. That's got to be a record, isn't it?
So a big fat 0 points from the 3 games that we'd have played last season. And I said before, a ball was even kicked in the close season that we have to improve on the results of last year, and we've absolutely done that. At the end of the day, we've absolutely done that. So you look at the points return. I think everyone would have snapped your arm off for a draw against Chelsea last week, and you'd expect to win against Southampton and Wolves. That's exactly what we've done. So I'm happy days, Rick. Very, very happy man.
Absolutely, mate. Lovely to have you back on it. Greg Spurs says no crazy train. We need a creative midfielder ASAP. Listen, Greg, at the moment, it is maybe points over performances so far. 7 out of a possible 9. Joining us, great to have 2 returning guests to Last Word on Spurs. Featured heavily last season. I'd like to say they're going to feature a lot heavily again this season. Top of our screen on the right here, we've got for our watching audience, we've got the brilliant Darren Hartman. The Hartman is on Last Word on Spurs. How's the heart, Darren? 7 points out of 9. Happy so far?
The heart is always happy. You should know this by now. You know when you want the good vibe, you call me in. I'm here. I will be putting the happy spin on what we're going through right now. I know people will be seeing the negatives. I'm not here for that. I'm seeing the positives. I'm on the positive train. That's what I've called in. That's the train I'm running today. Listen, happy days. 7 points out of 9. Lots to improve on. Lots of things that are positives. And I can see what Conte's doing. I can see a bit of the vision. So I'm going to be opening up those doors for people today. And Lee McQueen, can that V-neck get any lower, my friend? That's what I just realised. You hulking out of that top by the end. Is that what's going on? He's going to hulk out a bit. I see what's happening. I see it.
He did threaten to put the Spurs shirt on, can I just say, in the green room.
So listen,
who knows what's coming the Last Word on Spurs here? Lee, you going to come back?
I was in the green room. I was about to put the Spurs shirt on and was going live. I thought no one wants to see that on a Saturday evening, I tell you.
Well, it depends what comes after the Saturday night. Lovely to have you. Obviously, great to have Darren back on. Joining and making up the panel tonight. Been a regular Last Word on Spurs for a good season and a half now or so. He's been AKA called Lucas Moura so far tonight. He's seeing more game time than Lucas Moura so far on Last Word on Spurs. We've managed to finally get him in a diary for the month of August. The brilliant Leon Emiralli's back. Leon, how are you, my friend? Love to be back on Last Word on Spurs.
Great to be back, Ricky. Thank you very much. I'll take. You know what? I'll take Lucas Moura because normally I'll get a Pep Guardiola, and I feel like Lucas Moura is a better fit as a Spurs fan. So I'm very, very happy with that.
I mean, at the moment, Leon, listen, you look like you're going to be able to maybe play as a right wing back as well. Hence, you keeping Jed Spence out of the squad. So we will be touching upon that throughout the show. Great to have returning guests on Last Word on Spurs, and great to be back after a win. We'll get into whether it's at the moment points over performances. Lee's got the blue book. We've even got the action. We've got the blue book, and we've got Stats Express coming your way very, very soon. But just a quick shout out, of course, to our sponsors over at the Beavertown Corner Pin. They are, of course, bang opposite your south stand at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We are excited to get back down there for amazing screenings for all Spurs' televised away games. As you can tell at the moment, Lee's out of the country. Crackers is in Spain. Costa's also out of the country at the moment. So we're hoping to all get together very, very soon down there with all you great people. And of course, we're looking forward to doing that. We've hopefully got a live show coming as well. of course, ahead of what's going to be a blistering run of fixtures to come from Tottenham. So if you want to book your spot right now for the next televised away game, which is against Nottingham Forest towards the end of the month, you can go to www.beavertownbrewery.co.uk/corner-pin, and Lee McQueen proudly holds up there. Is it the gamma ray you got there, Lee? You have to forgive me.
I'm not on the laser crush anymore. I'm not going to lie to you. So I've got a bit of the old neck oil in there. And it's definitely difficult, easy for me to say, definitely difficult to source in Spain. So Beavertown will catch up when they go global. And they will, by the way, because it is the best you will drink this evening.
Yeah, there's even queues to get in that place now, such as the adolescent love for Last Word on Spurs. They're queuing up to get in there on a match day. And like I say, we're looking again forward to getting back down there very soon. But guys, fresh off the top, let's go with obviously the review of today. Listen, let's start with you, Lee. Harry Kane, Lee, getting his 250th goal for the club. We've got now Spurs winning 5 consecutive Premier League games at home since actually moving into the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium back in 2019. 1,000 Premier League goals at home now as well. That record also going today. I'll be honest, not pretty, but at the moment, Lee, we're finding a way to win against a side that normally does typically beat us. So it does look to be pulling in the same direction in terms of the group itself. What did you make of that performance, Lee, earlier today at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
Yeah, a little bit like we said. I agree with you. It was a game of two halves, wasn't it? To be fair, I mean, I don't think we got a shot away on target because Kane's header right towards the end of the first half hit the bar, and that doesn't actually count as a target, right? So I don't think we actually got a shot away on target in the whole of the first half, and that's disappointing. Let's start with the disappointments. I was really disappointed the way we started the game. It's a 12:30 kickoff. I thought the fans, obviously I'm away, so I'm not there today, but at Spurs song sheets, at THFC flags, doing a fantastic job. The South Stand, the North, the East, West, brilliant from a fan perspective for a 12:30 kickoff. So we're doing our job from a fan perspective. I thought it was very lackluster. I thought it was almost like we were yard off it, Rick. Do you see what I'm saying, lads, listeners, viewers? It felt like that we were just a little bit, even the passing, sometimes there's crisp passing into feet, just felt like it was lacking a little bit. And it felt like Son couldn't control the ball and Kane found it quite difficult, falling over almost to control the ball. And that let Wolves grow into the game. Look, listen, when you come to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and 62,000 people there and it's rocking, the away team, what's the game plan? Keep him quiet for first 10, 15 minutes. Don't concede. Then grow into the game. Then see if and that's exactly what happened. And we kind of know that they're a little bit of a bogey team, aren't they, lads? Listeners, viewers.
Yeah.
Because, I think they've beaten us at home the last out of the last 4 attempts. They've beaten us 3 times. So that was disappointing from that standpoint. However, what I would say is the second half was completely different. And, Wolves didn't get a shot on target at all in the second half. They brought on Jimenez. They brought on their, Semedo, like people that were playing full on for them last year. They didn't.
Adama even came on, didn't he, Lee? Adama came on.
Well, I forget about him. He just had all of that biceps. Exactly, Hartman. Exactly. That's all he had. But they didn't really trouble us. And it was almost like at half-time, Conte just ripped into our team and they come out and went up 2 gears. And the problem with that is you can't keep doing that. We saw the performance against Chelsea until probably Richarlison come on the pitch last weekend. It was also slower. We were slower to the ball. And you think to yourself, if you're watching that training, you're watching in South Korea, the pre-season, we should be very, very fit. And some would argue that's why we got a 96-minute winner, because we was fit until the end. But some of it seems slow and almost tired. I don't know what the case was, but that's where the disappointment was. But what was the positives for me? I mean, Ivan Perisic is a different class, in my opinion. Kane, very, very fitting, as you said at the top of the show, Rick. 1,000th Premier League home goal scored by King Kane, who in my opinion is a GOAT. He got 250 goals now for Tottenham. He's now the highest scoring one club man in Premier League history as well. And he has gone clear, of course, of Sergio Aguero today with 185 Premier League goals. So, some fantastic talking points. Is it a worry that we're starting? If you go and play the big ball, and no disrespect to Wolves, I thought they were very, very good today. But if you go and start and play like that, like we saw against Chelsea, you're not going to get much out of the game. So I think we need to impose ourselves on the ball and on the game more than letting the opposition. That's I don't know. Hartman, Leon, what did you guys think of that? Rick, what was your? Did you feel the same?
I just felt Wolves were always going to turn up to this game being very compact. They were going to make life difficult. They were going to want to sit in there, frustrate us, and that's exactly what they did. And if I'm being honest with you, I wasn't too surprised that we've, typically I think Spurs always struggle with these 12-30 games. And I say Spurs, I think every team does struggle with them. Being the home side, you are expected to take the game to the opposition and be in the ascendancy. And that's very hard. And I will actually reference, Jermaine Genius, what he said earlier. It did feel like Spurs actually played the night before. We seemed very jaded in that first half. We seemed very, very leggy. It's a little bit of a concern to me, although we're finishing games quite strongly, and that's down to the fitness of what Antonio Conte has set about the players. It does worry me that we can only go on so long, starting games slowly and not get punished for it, because against better opposition, we are going to struggle. Darren, let's come around to you. We do continue the impressive start to the season. It's 7 out of a possible 9. And we are developing, which I think is a good habit, of picking up results when we're not actually at our best. Now, second week running, Kane has scored from a header to make the difference. And I think credit to Gianni Vio, who probably should get a man of the match today, because he's clearly working his magic on these set pieces. Spurs have won 4 points now from his set piece designs from the last 3 matches. So I did want to put that in there. But Darren, overall for you, what do you take away from that result earlier today at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
Well, I'm going to start collecting positives. And the first one there, you said, is set pieces. We look like there's a plan now. Everyone looks like they understand their role. Like, it was really interesting, the goal. Jermaine Gina said it was a poor corner. And I was like, it wasn't a poor corner. It was a work system, because Perisic arrived late in front of the man. Kane knew that if it got there, there will be the second ball. And he anticipated that because they've worked on it. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that team understand what their roles are in the box. There was a moment where Conte was screaming at Højbjerg to get into the box at one point for a corner. And when Højbjerg went in, he turned around and then everyone moved position again. It was like, oh, when you're here, this is now the new formation. So they know what they're doing. It's coming. I think another positive, Perisic. Oh my God. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I will do the song later. I'll push it going.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
We're all charged with this. We're going to do it, Darren. We are charged guilty to do this at some point.
On it. I'm sorry. I'm with you. I got your back. So, what a performance in the second half. And I think it's quite right to just point out it was a game of 2 halves. The first half, we started sluggish. We didn't look like we was up for it. What I've realised with our team right now is we are a team that reacts. We don't start off in our top gear. We start off going, what are you going to bring to us? And the problem we're going to face, which we face again today, is teams that don't have a target man. They don't go with a proper forward. So their midfield is more compact. When the midfield's compact, the ball stays in that area and we're overrun. It's fine. But Conte is starting to see how to adjust. You saw Son dropping in, Kulusevski dropping in to give that extra man in the middle. However, Son didn't have a great game today. That he knows that, we know that. His dad's going to be calling him now. He's doing extra training tomorrow morning. We know what's happening. But what the positive was, we have a Richarlison now. We never had last year. He now comes on and it changes our dimension. It changes the aggression, the direction of the play. It gives Kane someone else to play or something new to work with. There's so many positives. And you know what the positive no one spoke about yet? We got a clean sheet today and there was no Romero. Yep, and people were panicking about that back line. I understood it. I get it. But they did a job again. And what I'm starting to get more confident in is our squad. Our squad is looking better. What we're doing together is working. You know what time it is. I'm there smooth. I'm all over it, Kurt. You know what time it is, Mr. Smith. You know this.
Yeah, but do you make your own bed, Darren?
Of course I do. I'm gonna lay in it. What do you mean? Of course I do. So all over it. Now, when you look at that system that we now have and the squad that we're working with, it's so much better. And that gives me confidence, because when we get to 70th minute, before Conte looked at the bench, he saw his reflection. There was no one there. Now he's got options, and these options are great options. These are game-changing options, and I'm loving it. Perisic starting today showed a whole load of things. Corners taking, long throws, new dimension that we didn't have in our game. And on a final note before I hand over, one thing that we talk about, teams that are successful in the Premier League, they win ugly. They win games they're not supposed to win. That was never a sentence we could associate with Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Now we can, because these 3 games have been nowhere near our best, but 7 points out of 9. Hey, I'll take that, mister. I'll take that all day.
I mean, it's interesting. Listen, again, I always say this on Last Word on Spurs that when we win and we get such a lesser amount of questions, we used to normally do about 50, 60 questions on the Last Word on Spurs. Just the 15 today when Spurs win. It's a lot nicer for our background team that have to put this together for us in between the stats now I have to add for Last Word on Spurs. But we'll read a flavour out of some of what we've got in before we bring Leon in. Matt Martin says, great result. Ian's performance was left a little to be desired. He says, do you think Pierre and Bentancur have been found out this season? 3 games in, they've been dominating at least 2 of them. Is it time to bring Basuma in? But still happy. 7 points we didn't have last term. Bullen Kazali says, 3 points, a great start. Definitely an improvement on last season. Something definitely needs doing though in our midfield. Not sure, but we're not dominating the ball well enough in that central area. Jordan Hussein says, another poor performance. Are the players feeling the over effects of overtraining? That's an interesting one. And Ashish says, why are Højbjerg and Bentancur too afraid to get forward more and combine with the forwards to enable them to pass around the deep defences, particularly when Moreira was out and his marauding runs were in attack, which we missed today? Really absent in the first half. Leon, let's bring you in. We'll get your thoughts also on maybe Spurs' slow start. But, I mean, listen, second week running, as I mentioned, Spurs pick up a result when we don't really actually play to our best. And we haven't played at our best all season yet, which I think is quite an exciting thing to know. We're yet to reach our full potential. But, listen, it's 7 points more than we had, of course, in the equivalent fixtures last season. Obviously, Southampton at home, Chelsea away, Wolves at home. 7 points of difference. How happy are you, Leon, given the fact that Spurs, we certainly are nowhere near our best at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy. I think that exactly as you say, that is the type of game that last season, the season before, we lose, and we lose probably quite comprehensively, actually, because Wolves are a good team, a really good team. And I think that, beyond the fact that last season we were poor against them, both Southampton and Wolves, this season we've shown a massive upgrade. And yeah, I think I'm confident. We did look a bit tired today, but I think that's because we've had 3 games on the trot, 3 fairly tough games. I think the Southampton scoreline was probably a bit flattering. It was still a tough game. The Chelsea game was obviously very hard. And I think we have to start seeing a bit of rotation now. I think Conte's been alluding to that a little bit, that once the Champions League games start, we'll start seeing that rotation. So I think we do need a bit of that. There were a couple of players underperforming, or not performing in the way that we know they can. And I think Son's one of them. Clearly, I think that I've got a few words to say on Højbjerg as well. But I think that once we can get a few of those players right up to speed, then I think we could be a really dangerous force this season. And I like what I saw from the team. I thought it was exactly the kind of game that we need to win if we want to be up there and challenging.
Yeah, Leon, I'm just going to share the stats from today. I mean, I'm just interested to get to know your thoughts overall, because, I mean, there we go on the screen there for our watching audience on YouTube. Obviously, you can see them in front of you here. But for our listeners, again, just to repeat today's stats there, shots 11 to 20 in Wolves' favour, shots on target for Spurs 4 in comparison to Wolves with 3, 10 fouls committed from Spurs, 8 from Wolves, 2 yellow cards for both sides. We've got 8 corners for Spurs, 6 for Wolves, 50-50 overall in possession. But I think the XG is probably the telling one there, 1.79 for Tottenham. And you look at that in comparison to Wolves, 0.68. So despite Wolves having far superior of shots on goal, Spurs looking the more creative despite a really poor first half. Leon, overall, just keen to get your thoughts on the stats and this concern maybe of the way Spurs are starting games. Do you feed into that concern at the moment?
I do a little bit. I'm gonna start with the XG, because I saw that stat and I had to check it out, because I think all of that XG came in the second half. In the first half, we were 0.05.
Right.
So that just shows just how poor we were in the first half and how well we did in the second half. So, and I agree with Lee. I've seen it in a couple of games now where we come out of the second half looking really strong, looking really up for it, and running all over the place and creating chances. And Conte's clearly stuck a rocket up them. So that is a good thing in a way, because it means we've got a good manager who can motivate the players, but also the players should be doing that themselves at this point. And I think that we do tend to sort of start quite slowly. We've seen it in some of the games where we've had a comprehensive scoreline. It's when we score early, because we open the other teams up and it lets us do the counter-attacking play that we're so good at. And I think that if we can make that a priority to try and score early, then we can be on the the receiving end of a fair few very comprehensive victories. So yeah, I mean those stats to me, they tell the tale of the game. I don't think it doesn't say much to me. I mean, I think that the fact the Wolves have had 20 shots compared to our only 11, they were dangerous. They did look good, and I think if they had a finisher in their side. You know, I know Jimenez came on late, but if they had a couple more clinical players, I think they could have been 2 or 3 up.
Interesting. Lee, let's come around to you. I mean, listen, it's the Blue Book King. We've now got the stats on the screen here, Lee, for us. What do you take away from them, Lee, in terms of the way in which Spurs ended that game? Because I can tell you, if the first half stats came up here, probably be a completely different story, if we're being honest with you.
No, I completely agree with Leon. It absolutely spot on. And the XG piece in the first half, like I said, I think we hit the bar, didn't we? John Berry makes a comment that it doesn't include them on them stats, but Kane at the bar, I think Son at the post. So you got them 2 key areas in there as well. 4 shots on target, right? There you go. Cheers, John Berry's on there. Look, four shots on target doesn't win you football matches every single week. It doesn't. And XG and all that sort of stuff is the new thing. But the reality is, under Conte, when he came in last season, we went from 0 shots on target under Nuno to averaging 7 shots on target per game. And that's why we got Champions League. That's why we started blowing away certain teams in certain games. And we need to get back into that. I don't think we've, other than Southampton, 7, 8, 9. You go and look at Liverpool stats and Man City stats over 12, 14, 18-month period, and they're probably averaging 9, 10 shots on target a game, which is really good. You're going to win football match if you're getting 7 or 8. I think the other stat that's quite interesting out of the Blue Book, so for those of you, yes, we've got all the graphics, but we've still got the original Blue Book, is block shots. I thought this was really interesting today because Wolverhampton Wanderers had 9 block shots today, and we had 2. And I was saying to the guys, my boys that I was watching it with today, is that the problem with that is showing to me that in the first half, absolutely in the first half, it's not as if we wasn't even having attempts. We wasn't even having a shot. Like a shot on target, right? You can go, okay, you could be woeful with your shooting, but we're not even attempting shooting. So therefore, yes, Wolves were compact, but you've got to get in that position. I think a lot of people are still screaming for a cam. I think that's a FIFA term, isn't it? A cam, a central attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
I'm too old for that. But look, I think
give over.
I'm not looking for that somebody, that lock picker, as you call him, Rick, that certain person. But I'm looking for someone just have a shot. You've got Perisic who can go left and go right. You've got Decky that can go down the wing, cut inside on the left. You've got get a shot away. Get people blocking. Get the opposition thinking the other way. I think we made it, if I'm honest, too easy for Wolves in the first half, and we could have given them something to think about like we did in the second half. So I think at the end of the day, Kane at the bar, signing in at the post, and then obviously having 4 shots on target in the end, when you wrap all of that up, is better. But you've got to get some shots away. And if I was, and thank goodness I am not, by the way, for every viewer and listener who is a Tottenham fan, but if I was Antonio Conte or part of the coaching staff, I would be practicing. I'm getting them to be saying, get your shots away early. When the keeper's not set, get your shots away early. Get them. Don't look for, I know I'm going on a bit but remember under Wenger, the enemy up the road, right? They went through a phase where they wanted to pass the ball in the back of the net or score the perfect goal. We don't have to be that, and we don't have to do that. Get your shots away early, get in a situation, and get people very early in the game thinking, oh, I'm in for an afternoon here. And I just don't think we did that well enough today. But, of course, it worked out well.
I mean, it's interesting, Darren, just to get your thoughts on it, because, again, listen, we're very positive there, and obviously the opening segment of the show. I know people probably want to just there's obviously a little bit of apprehension and concern of the way we're maybe starting games at the moment, because I've said in the opening piece for me that I do worry that, if you continue with that trend at the start of the season, it will inevitably find you up. I think it will, eventually it is going to keep us in a position where we're going to struggle. Do you have a view on that, Darren, or are you of the opinion that will gradually grow as well as the team grows here? We are still got, 6, 7 new players. Obviously, the 7th guy gone out on loan, but we've got 6 players to integrate into a squad. And therefore, maybe it isn't all going to be everything in the right puzzle just now. It may just take some time.
Yeah, it will take a bit of time. I do feel that. But I think also it is part of what we're going through in Tottenham. The way we react, as I said earlier, I feel we react to other teams right now. And that's a problem that we have to sort out. I don't think we're overtrained. I don't think they're tired because, as you see, as the game wears on, they kick in and the formation starts to work. I think also what's happening recently is Son hasn't looked his best. Like let's call it as we see it. Son isn't firing yet. And I think that's a massive problem when we start games, because Dyer was looking for the ball over the top for Perisic a lot, but it weren't coming across. He was overhitting it a lot of the time. So the kind of mechanisms weren't working. Son's touch was off. Kane was coming deeper. Kulusevski couldn't get in the game on his side. And then we were chasing shadows. And then in that, everyone then gets deep. And I've realised that with Spurs, we all start to come towards the ball, but we're not showing for it. It's such a weird thing to look at. When you watch our back three get it and they're looking for the pass, no one's really showing feet. And that was annoying in the first half. It was always go over my head and I'll run onto it. But some weren't making it happen, and it wasn't generating the energy that we need. And I think that's what's coming out for me, is when they step across the line in the first half, they don't go on with Conte's energy. And that's an alarming factor for me. It takes them coming out in the second half after being ruined or being injected with that mentality of this is what we need to do now, then it kicks on. But when they step across that line in the first half, it takes too long for the wheels to get going. And then once it does, great. But we haven't seen it in full flight. I'm going to say it now. Someone's going to get absolutely battered by us this season. I'm saying someone is going to get, I'm talking 5-6 this season, because when we step across and it all clicks, it's going to be a nightmare for someone, and they're going to get it. And we're going to be here celebrating it and remember that I said it. So yeah, that beating's coming. But right now, I'm not too worried. Yeah, I'm not too worried about us not starting well, because we're finishing strong and the results are hanging on. If our start was implementing on the result, then I'd be more concerned.
Okay, I'm interested. Leon, just get your thoughts on it. Again, conscious we've been very positive in that opening segment. I mean, again, there'll be maybe a wider issue today. And I have to say, we maybe have to give some credit to Wolves here. Wolves set up very compact. They had 2 new signings in that team. So they were never going to come to Tottenham and be open and expansive and almost suddenly open the floodgates to flow forward. There was always going to be a game plan from Wolves to sit in there, frustrate Tottenham, hit us on the counter. I mean, do you buy into the concept of being concerned at the moment about the way we're starting games, Leon, overall?
Well, I think Wolves deserve a hell of a lot of credit. They're a really good team, and Wolves are a really good team. I think that that they could be up there. Definitely Europa League, maybe even Champions League. So a good team, and I think the fact we ground out a win is super positive. There are a few things in there that I was frustrated in the first half. I think we all were. We were just sort of looking at that and thinking, where's the directness, where's the positivity? I think that Perisic looked pretty good, but let's not forget he's just come back from an injury, so he's going to get even better as time goes on. I thought his delivery, and I like Sessegnon a lot, but I think his delivery was a massive upgrade on what we're used to at that left wing back position. Yeah. So that was a real positive. And I thought when Richarlison came on, he looked super positive as well. And I do think we have to be honest about some of the players there, that towards the end of last season, we were playing pretty much the same 11 over and over and over because, we didn't have that deeper squad. I think that now we've got a much deeper squad, a much better squad. We're going to be looking good. So I think that's really good news for us. I'm positive. Yes, we can be doing more. I think we could always be doing more, but I do. And I'm going to pick up on that, saying about our attacks feeling predictable. I felt that in the first half. I felt like we were just trying that kind of diagonal ball over the top, and it wasn't really working. And Wolves sort of sussed it out, and I think they did a good job of being able to nullify some of those attacks. So maybe start mixing it up a bit, whether that's in personnel or within the system that we play. But yeah, look, we got the win. We were top of the league for however long it was. So let's take it.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, could I just add into what Darren and Leon said as well? Actually, there's a comment as well from Mike. I think it was Mike Ivy further up the chain. They're talking about we didn't control the game. But again, let's be really honest about it. Did you actually think that we were going to concede? Because I honestly, I don't think that we were going to concede the goal. There you go. Thank you, Rick. So Mike, Mike, what I make for the thing. I don't think we did keep the ball for long periods, but I don't feel like that we were going to concede a goal. I mean, Hugo Lloris, and I think Conte said this in his post-match interview, when did he have to make a worldy save? Like that
was his opening line. Yeah, he said in the first half we struggled a bit for many reasons in the physical aspect. We played against a very fast team. In the same time, I appreciate the way we suffered together, but I don't remember a big save from Hugo. Yeah,
a good little segue in there, Rick. But also as well, the defending wise, there's comments in there saying, "Oh, I'll take Kilman," or "I the new defender." But where did our defence today look weak or really bad? Where we were poor today, if we're looking on the negative side, was in central midfield. We got overrun in central midfield through being very, very compact And from a Wolves perspective, in our defensive system, when Wolves had the ball, we went to a 4-5-1. It was really, really obvious. Oh, sorry, a 5-4-1. It was really obvious the way that we went. And we were too, exactly, Hartman, man. We were too back. We needed to push up an extra 10, 15 yards in the first half and really press them and take the ball off them. And that's that aggressive front foot versus that defending. But even when we were defending, it wasn't as if there were shots coming in left, right, and centre and Hugo Lloris. What I would say, though, is out of their 20 attempts, they had 9 block shots. So they were having shots and we were blocking them. So our defence was doing the job that it was meant to do. So I don't think there was any issue with our defending per se. And I don't think there was any. We kept a clean sheet as well, right? Hello. But I think I think the bit of the control in the game was in that centre of the park where we were a bit overrun. I think there was a 3 versus a 2 in there, right? So that's maybe where we struggled.
I think the only argument for me is I will be honest to say that I did feel that as a back three, I mean, I would say Sanchez was probably our best performer on the day. And I know that probably goes to say a lot. But again, Sanchez is coming off the back of now 4 clean sheets. And I will come on to his incredible stat about Sanchez. I might have it here. He hasn't now conceded in the back line for Tottenham for God knows. I'm trying to find it here. Sanchez, Spurs have not considered a goal with Sanchez for over 7.5 hours now. Now, again, I won't get over the fact that I think the back three today for me, they did look shaky at times. I think Eric Dyer, distribution and positioning wise, was caught out a few times. I think we did lack not having Romero there. And I think any team would miss Romero because of what that guy is turning into. I mean, he will arguably become, I think, for me, one of the best central defenders in world football. And I maintain that point. And that's a big statement to make about a guy that's been over here for less than a season. But I will say, I know there's lots of non-Spurs people that watch this show. If anyone in the comments that doesn't believe me, if you watch Romero every week in a Spurs shirt, I'm telling you, I promise you, he is going to be one of the best defenders in world football. If you can just curb that little bit of, I'd say maybe enthusiasm, just channel that in the right way, we've got a wonderful player there. That, but in terms of Conte said after the game, as we referenced, doesn't remember Hugo making a big save. He said in the second half, I had to try to fix some situations. I felt that we had a lot of energy to press high and we created the chance to score and we played with important intensity. It was difficult for them to play against us in that second half. He went on to say, this game last season, we weren't prepared to find this type of difficulty. We lost these games to Southampton, Chelsea and Wolves. I was really worried when I saw these first 3 games. To get 7 point shows this team is improving. And he finally went on to say, look, I have to be very clear. Last season in this game, we weren't so rapid to find this kind of difficulty. This team is improving in many aspects. And what I really like about Conte is that he's man enough to acknowledge that we're not performing at our highest peak level yet. And again, I will say that excites me right now that we are yet to hit our groove, because I agree with the Hartman. I think when we do hit our groove, someone is going to get it and they're going to get it for 5 or 6. So I think from that element, it's positive, right?
Just quickly on that. I mean, I know Hartman called it live on air, but in our WhatsApp group, we said a couple of weeks ago, that's why I predicted 6-1 versus Southampton, because I also think that some of the, I mean, it's most with respect, right? And hopefully it won't come back and bite us in the backside. But I think some of the lower teams that are going to struggle this year, when they come to Spurs, I reckon we're going to absolutely rip them a new one. Like proper Man City style 6-1, 7-1s type scenario. We'll probably always concede, let's be honest. But I think games like today, like Leon said earlier, they are a very, very good team, Wolves. They're not a bottom 6 side. They're a top 8 team. And early kickoff, all that sort of stuff like we've been through. But I do think that we will, but we've got to, in my opinion, we've got to go on the front foot a little bit earlier. 10 minutes, you go and pepper the goal. I mean, any of you in your fantasy league, right, by the way, because it's going mad now, but Sarr got the most points in fantasy league last week, right, as a goalkeeper, and he didn't have a save to make at all in the first half, right? So that's not good enough. That has to improve, in my opinion.
Yeah, agree. Well, what we will just do, we will just go for our first break of the show for our listeners on audio. Of course, next up, of course, is the story of the game and the players' performances for today. As we know, we are recording live here Saturday evening. Your Saturday night does start right here. I do love saying that. I do feel like we're on air. It's fantastic. Your Saturday night does start right here. Boxing a cup. I've got to stop saying that. We might get addicted to that. That's all you'll keep hearing for the next 5-10 minutes. We have obviously got the big boxing tonight, so looking forward to that. You're with us here for the start of that. There's over 600, 700 of you watching us live across all of our platforms. Thank you so much for all your support. We're battling live football. We're battling the undercard of the boxing, and you're here listening, watching Last Word on Spurs. So thank you so much for all of your support. Now, you know what's coming for our regular watching audience and live listeners. We've gone and teamed up with them again. Of course, it can only be NordVPN. They are the king of VPNs, the Harry Kane facets of security for what you need in your life. Of course, Nord were with us last season. We're delighted to be sponsored by Nord again. And listen, I gave my analogy for Love Island a couple of weeks ago, which didn't go down with everybody. And I totally get that. So what I would say to you is that for you, listen, if you're a fan of watching overseas football from all different countries, with Nord, of course, you can change your virtual location, which enables you to be able to watch all different types of sports all around the world. I must also say as well, fans of Spotify, YouTube, you can change your location settings and get that at a very, very good premium discount. Of course, listen, for our Last Word on Spurs audience, of course, we've got a discount for you. We try and give you a discount on Last Word on Spurs. You can see that right now on the screen there for you. You can grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/LWOS to get a huge discount plus 4 months free, and that's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day back money guarantee. You can find all those details in our YouTube description and in our audio description too. And again, thank you so much for joining us here. I want to get straight into the second half of the show. Now, always team news seems to cause hysteria at 2 o'clock ahead of a 3 o'clock game, or if it's 12:30, it's 11:30. It's an early bird for a lot of our American viewers and listeners out there. But we'll show the team up on the screen now. So a couple of changes for Antonio Conte's men ahead of today. The Hartman, we're going to go over to you to discuss the team for today. So it was 2 changes. We were aware during the week that Christian Romero is out currently with an adductor muscle injury. Now, we have to reference the point that when we did our show earlier in the week, at the time we were told it was going to be between 3 to 4 weeks. We then heard from Romero's camp it's around 10 days. I think we all want to side with Romero's camp and hope it's going to be 9 to 10 days. But again, we shall wait to see on that. Davinson Sanchez, of course, he got the nod again for this game. So it meant for him, it's now for Sanchez. He obviously is that backup now for when a player does drop out. It's automatically Sanchez going in there. He kept 3 successive clean sheets. We can't forget back in the last season. Back in today, obviously got his 4th clean sheet as well. Conte decides to hand Ivan Perisic a full debut, replacing Ryan Sessegnon. And just on Jed Spence, there's lots to talk about Jed Spence. And again, I think we have to understand that had Jed Spence been included in our lineup today or in the squad today, Spurs would then have 4 right wing backs on the bench. Now, conscious everybody does want to see Jed Spence. I think we're all very excited about the prospect of Jed Spence, but according to Football London, Spence understands he needs to be patient and learn the Conte way to reach that remarkable level of fitness that will enable him to be, in one moment, defending, and then in the next moment, an auxiliary striker at the other end. So today's team, as you can see on your screen there, reading from bottom to top, we had Lloris and a back three of Sanchez, Dyer, Davis. Our fullbacks, of course, they were Emerson and Perisic, with our midfield partnership of Højbjerg, Bentancur, and then our forward line of Kane, Kulusevski, Son, with a bench of Forster, Doherty, Sessegnon, Longley, Tanganga, Basuma, Hill, Lucas, Richarlison. Let's come over to the Hartman. Hartman, what did you make of that team overall?
I was very happy with it. I kind of foresaw that would be the 11. I did expect Perisic to get a start because he had been knocking on the door. He had the little injury, and it was good to see him there. I know everyone there in the comments saying they want Spence to start. I understand the call for it, but I'm just going to break it down a little bit. He's not going to get the start yet because these guys have done Conte training. They've done the pre-season with him. They're ready to go. Spence hasn't. So he's going to need a bit of time to bed in with that. Once he's there, then he's going to compete. On the training field, they want to see what he's going to bring head to head. So give him a minute. He's going to play. We didn't sign him to put him on the bench or not to be involved. He's building to be involved. Now, I know there are people that don't want Mr. Emerson Royal in our back 5. I understand. However, I'm going to highlight something today, especially in the second half. What he does for Kulusevski has to be acknowledged. He allows him to play in a certain way that frees Kulusevski up. He overlaps to take the runner away from Kulusevski, to make Kulusevski be one-on-one a lot of the time. He's always doing that. And that energy and that connection between the two of them, we have to appreciate. I know people slag off Emerson Royal for his final ball, etc., etc. However, his side of the field today, that right side, He shored that up. He did a very good job. And defensively, how you mark your defenders is the result. At the end of the day, how many did we concede? We didn't concede today. So that 5 did their job. Perisic on the other side is bringing a creativity that we need. The crosses are fabulous. He did crosses that people will watch back and go, how did he even dig a cross out in that area? That's the quality that he brings. This is the quality, hopefully, he's going to bring to our future left wing back. Because when Ryan Sessegnon came on, he came on again with a different urgency. He came on to tackle Mr. Baby Oil, because we don't want Perisic against him. We don't want to do that to him. The age gap, and we don't do that. And I think Conte is building this. And this 11 is not going to stay the same. Some's going to come out at some point for Richarlison. Kuczeski will come out at some point tomorrow. Our bench and this squad is bigger and better than it's ever been before. So I knew this 11 was going to kind of be the one. I was happy with it. In the centre of the park, you look at Bentancur, you look at Højbjerg. We are going to see changes there, of course. But that area of our team is always going to find it difficult because Conte likes to play wide. When you play wide, the 2 centre mids, they have a difficult job. They're going to be overrun. They're going to have a man over because every team will play 3 in there and they're 1 short. Also, the passing wide, they're always asked to spray. Get it out wide, get it out wide, get it out wide. That's a difficult job to do. You have to respect the work these guys are doing. That's why Højbjerg is being looked at. If Real Madrid want him, I get it. And I'm going to explain why. When we're not playing well, we drop so deep on ourselves. We are literally camping on top of each other. Kuczeski drops in, Son drops in, then Kane drops in, and we're just chasing shadows. What Højbjerg does is when we lose the ball, if I'm wrong, something will fall from the ceiling. When we lose the ball and it goes up their end, Højbjerg is always the first man of Tottenham running forward. He runs beyond Kane, he's like, come on, get out, push off of ourselves. He's always thinking about that, and Conte appreciates that. Bring us out, and we don't. And until they start clocking on, that will improve our game. That will change what we're doing. So that's why he's a real pivotal figure in that setup, because on the pitch, he's instructing that push, because that's what we need to do. Basuma will do that as well, but that 11 is solid. The bench again is solid, and that's what I expected. And Spurs, I'm seeing the vision, Conte. I'm seeing it.
I'm loving it, Darren. I'm loving the positivity. Lots of love for you in the comments. Leon, I just want to come over to you. I mean, again, no Jed Spence today. I'm of the belief, the same as Darren. Listen, this guy is going to take time. I don't think he's going to be thrown in straight away. It's just not the Conte way, as we've even seen with the other signings so far. Basuma yet to start for Tottenham. Richarlison yet to start either. I mean, is there a concern for you that Jed Spence not even in the squad at the moment, Leon? Or is it a case of trusting in Conte? Listen, the guy's won everything. Surely we've got to trust in him, given the start we've made so far and the way in which he did transform last season, got us into the Champions League, of course.
Yeah, I mean, how old is Jed Spence? He's 21, is he? I mean, he's a young lad. He's got a lot of time ahead of him, and I think to put a 21-year-old who's just been playing Championship football straight into a squad that's in the Champions League and challenging for the Premier League title, I think is a bit much. I think he's got a bit of learning to do, learning the Conte way, learning the league. So I think he'll be an incredible player, Jed Spence, from the little I have seen of him. But I think at the minute, if we're playing a Champions League final tomorrow, we're playing that team that started today with Romero in for Sanchez and probably Basuma in for Højbjerg. And I do want to talk about Højbjerg, because I think I completely get what Darren's been saying about what he does, from a kind of leadership perspective in the team, and he does that job so well. He also plays it so well defensively. I think he's important to us that he sets the pace. But I do. I'm loving the love for Darren. I think we all wish that. I think that. I think Basuma's an upgrade on Højbjerg, and I'm just in the attacking third. He's a bit of a liability, and you see it when Højbjerg's kind of sort of in the most furthest forward player. There's a groan from around the stadium in a way that thinks, oh no, what's he going to do? Because he doesn't really have that attacking prowess that we need, and I think that we should be doing it. Darren, tell us.
Remember, he scored last week. Don't upset him.
He did, and look, he's a really good player. I mean, I don't want to be. I'm
the same as you, Leon. I'm the same as you, Leon. I think he's in there for me as a trusted lieutenant. That's why he's there for me. He's there a lot for that leadership role, even arguably more than his ability. And there's nothing wrong with that to say that. I think again, Conte does trust a lot in the players that he has got him to where he has today in the Spurs team, Spurs squad, Champions League. So it's interesting. I mean, for you, does he still start for you, Leon, every week? Or again, do you think over time, you've mentioned Basuma, it's a case of just, there is no best 11 now, is it? It's just a case of game by game, right?
I think it's game by game, and I think we're eventually going to find that rhythm where, you know, certain players will start European games, certain players will start Premier League games, and it obviously depends on who you're up against, depends on who you're playing with. So, you know, I really do think that there's going to be a lot of rotation in the team, and I do think we should touch on Son, which is that we all love Son. I mean, he's a Spurs. Is he a legend? Maybe he's a legend. He's a Spurs great. And I think that we all love him, but he's not played well the past 3 games. Really, I think it's time for him to. I don't
think you should also be crucified per se either. You know, you can always you can say Son's has not been playing well, and that's just being the truth, Leon. Right? It's just telling the truth.
Exactly, and we spent 60 million, 50 million quid on a player who's in the Premier League, who can score goals and who can slot in there immediately. So let's do it. So, you know, I think that's what's bright. Whereas last season, you look into your bench and you're thinking, well, who's going to come in for him? Because there's no one there really who can do that. Now we've got those options, and it's incredibly exciting.
Yeah, let's come over to you before we get into the story of the game. Overall, lead the team, and again, running the headline news, Richarlison on the bench, Basuma on the bench, Spence not in the squad. How much do you pay too much into that? Or again, is it just a case of trusting in Antonio Conte for what he's done so far at Tottenham? And again, 7 points out of a possible 9, 7 points more than we had this time. Well, 7 points out of the equivalent fixtures from last season. Do we just have to trust the man, Lee? Do you question it for you at all?
I'm not questioning anything, mate, to be fair. I mean, 20 goals scored, 5 goals conceded, and 5 clean sheets in our last 9 Premier League games. That's a draw. I'm just going to read it out to you, right? This is out of the blue book. This is draw, win, win, draw, win. I mean, there's people sitting maybe in our comments, maybe listening to this when they're going to work or whatever, pundits that are on, you know, national TV saying Spurs can't go on an unbeaten run for 5 or 6 games. Well, breaking news at the bottom of your screen, we're already on one. Unbeaten run of 9 games. I mean, Son is allowed to have a couple of dodgy games. Correct me if I'm wrong, did he not assist in the first game of the season? So, you know, and I agree with you, like, you know, his touch today was poor. I think he was poor against Chelsea. I don't think he was very good again today. If he had full confidence and full Sonny, he probably controls that ball today that comes over the top, and he probably nips it in the back of the net. But that will come. That's completely fine. What I love about this team is that there's other people stepping up. Last year, Kane didn't even score until November the 3rd.
He's got 2 already. He's got 2 already.
Exactly. He don't score in August, does he, Rick? He's already smashed in 2. So.
And there you go. King Hoddle, one loss in 15 games as well. We had 1 loss in 15 games.
King Hoddle, that is amazing. That's straight back in the blue book. I mean, this is if you look at it, like I was saying to some of the guys I was watching football with earlier, like about Aston Villa and Steven Gerrard, and the fact that Gerrard's doing a good job down there. He lost again today. Like he's won 4 games in 14. Like that's relegation form. If you look at what we've been doing, we're not. I know I'm going to say it. I am going to say. I think Leon's already has. We're title challenging. This is form for title challenges. You can't get rid of Tottenham. You can't get rid of us. We're like a bad smell sometimes hanging around Chelsea. Last season, season before, Chelsea would have got us out of there, wouldn't they? We're talking about the boxing, right? 4 or 5 rounds, they'd get us out of there. They couldn't get us out, could they? They couldn't do it. And again today, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Last season, they beat us. This season...
Lee, get your bick out, get your rubber out, take off 14, it'll be 15 next week.
Okay, fair play to him. Right, that's it. We'll change it, King. We'll change it, King Hoddle. But look, I mean, I think this is why people, you know, like, you know, you've got to start. Our fan base at times, we've been so hurt, so
psychological damage. It's psychological damage.
We've been damaged so badly for wanting to do well. The whole reason why we support and we love football is so we can enjoy it and we can have shows like this and whatever. So then, why not? People say, "Oh, don't get carried away." Why not? This is the whole point in it. Like, I don't spend 1,250 quid a year to go to Spurs and just moan and groan about it. I go because I want to see it, and I want to see THFC flags. I want to sing songs that are not derogatory, by the way, and have no swear words in it. And that's why I love at Spurs song sheets. There's no derogatories in there, so on and so forth. Like, I love the new chants. I love what's going on at our football club. I love my dog that's barking. Sorry. I love the fact that Antonio Conte has fused us all back together, because he has the whole thing from top to bottom. The whole thing. Ali Gold, friend of the show, he turned around, he interviewed, he asked a question to him earlier. And he said, if Brian Hill goes out on loan, do you expect to replace him? And Antonio Conte not only said, I expect to replace him, but the club also agree. Yeah. So this is a green light almost to all of us to say, if you see breaking news that Hill's gone out, you know somebody else is coming. You know that. Yeah. And this is, that's, you know, the integration of the new signings, you know, the Jed Spence thing. I think it's cautious. I think that he didn't have a pre-season properly. He wants to get him up to speed. He has got 4, 5, 20 right wing backs, if you want, whoever you want to play in there, on the pitch. I also do think that he could explode. I generally do. I think that Jed Spence, when he's up to speed, when Conte puts him in and goes, go on, fella, go for it, I think he could be absolutely brilliant. So it's really, really positive right now. And just quickly on the Arsenal result tonight and some of the stuff, it's good for us. We said this in the green room, and I will keep banging this drum. Somebody else in this league needs to take points off of City and Liverpool. Somebody else. It can't just be Tottenham winning both against City last year and drawing against Liverpool twice. You know, Liverpool lost 2 games last season. 2. Somebody else needs to come and take some points off the other 2 teams. Otherwise, we ain't got no chance of winning the title. We go and get 86, 87, 90 points this year. We've got a chance. But that's the thing. Arsenal might have not played anyone. But the point I'm making, Darryl, is it's good. It's good for the league that other teams are spending and improving, because we need them to take points off of these other teams that are running away with it. City have won the league 4 out of the last 5 seasons. We don't want this to be Bayern Munich. Are you with me, lads, listeners, viewers? We need this to be competitive, and that's why it's important. So fair play to, I'm not going to say Arsenal, but fair play to other clubs that are having a go, because that's
we need it. We need it to be competitive, don't we? Really, you know. Otherwise, it will become a Super League. Otherwise, it will become a Super League.
Leon, we need it.
Leon, yeah, I agree. Leon, let's come over to you. I mean, it's fair to say Spurs didn't really get going that first half, apart from the one opportunity towards the end of it. Kane got up high to loop ahead towards the top right-hand corner that Sarr managed to tip over. And that was, quite frankly, I mean, that was the first half there. in the summary of one effort. I mean, it was all flat at half-time. I mean, there was smatterings of some boos as well. I mean, and I've got to say, at half-time, you know, the stats read Wolves with 10 shots to Spurs is 1. I just wonder, Neil, can you understand boos in the stadium at half-time, 0-0?
Not really. I mean, it was a bit premature, I think, to be booing, given what we've seen from this team previously, what we've seen from the manager previously. But I do get the frustration. I mean, I was sat there and feeling frustrated in the first half, and you know, it was one of those games where you think, oh, is it going to go like it did last season? Where obviously Wolves beat us. So the fact it didn't is a massive sign for optimism. I think that there was a lot going on today. You know, tactically, it was quite an interesting game to watch, because I think that definitely for the way that the way that Wolves attacked on the counter, they looked super dangerous. And what they did was they stopped us from us playing our counter-attacking game, which really is when we're at our best and when we do rip those teams apart. So the fact that they were doing that really stopped us from playing, didn't give us many opportunities. So fair play to Wolves for that. So yeah, look, loads going on tactically. I thought that to get 1-0 is a phenomenal 3 points. We just don't get those types of 3 points historically, and I think that's to be applauded. And you know, I do think, let's talk about title challenge. I do think we're up there. You know, I do think we're up there. I think that if we can put together, we're not going to play the the Man City style swashbuckling football necessarily, but if we can grind out results like that and beat the big teams, which we've seen that we can, or take points of the big teams, which we've seen we can be able to do, and by big teams I mean Liverpool, Man City, then you know we can totally be up there. And you know, I'm excited for that reason. I really am excited. I think that, you know, I know last season, Ricky, when I was on early, Nuno was still in charge we were three out of three, and I said, you know, we're gonna have another great season last season. So, but it was all right. We finished fourth. We finished fourth.
Have you forgiven us yet for that? Getting you on under Nuno?
Sorry, I've tried to invite him over the past 4 months. No wonder he's avoiding me.
He's ducking your calls.
Bloody hell. Ricky's asked me to go on again. No chance. But no, you know, it's great. We've got a bit of optimism. It's great. We've got a bit of optimism around now, and absolutely. I think long may it last.
Yeah, totally agree. Leon, let's actually stick with you because Spurs, I mean, as poor as that first half was, we did wake up for second half, thankfully, and it's 2 already in August for Harry Kane. And again, as we record this show, we are still already only the 20th of August. It's 1,000th home Premier League goal for Tottenham at the time. Lovely flick from Perisic from Son's corner, and Kane is free to head it home from close range. And of course, now Kane also broke Sergio Aguero's record for most Premier League goals scored for a single club in the competition's history. Kane reaching 185 in the Premier League, the most scored by a player for a single club. And again, if I read you out these stats, Leon, this is ridiculous. Appearances, 388. Goals, 250. Assists, 59. Lee's got the blue book. Sorry, Lee, mate. I'll beat you to it. You have to forgive me. But it's 185 Premier League goals now for England's captain, 10 years after his first appearance. Leon, listen, Kane, I mean, is there anything more to say about Harry Kane that we don't say? I don't know. What can you say about the man?
He's just phenomenal, Ricky. He's a phenomenal player, a phenomenal. I feel privileged to be able to watch him. Actually, you know, at Spurs every other week. I think he's a phenomenal player for us. I think we've got to do something with his contract. I think we've got to get it sorted, you know, fairly quickly. It gives us that sense that he's ready to go, and you know, he's ready to stay. I mean, by that, and I think that we want to make him our totty, don't we? We want to kind of give him the keys to the stadium. And I know Lloris has been a great captain. He's not going to be around forever. So when Kane takes the armband, let's keep him at this club. Let's let him break that all-time record at Spurs. And I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to get those 80 odd goals. I think he needs extra. I think he's going to do it. And he's going to play on till he's you know, an old man, when he's probably got a hairstyle similar to mine, because he's you know, he's got it. He's fit. He's got the technique, and I think he can play on and on and on. And I think we need him. If we're going to win stuff, it will be with Harry Kane leading the line. And just, you know, what more can we say? Just an incredible player.
Absolutely. Peter Rainey gives it there on the screen. 16 behind Greaves for Spurs, 3 behind Rooney for England. He is going to go down as an all-time great. And I agree with you, Leon. I think I say all we just want to see now is that new contract. Darren, let's come over to you. Listen, it was one actually out of the Giovanni playbook, forgive me, because again today, you know, it's lovely. And I agree with you, Darren. I think it is actually a well-thought, set-out piece that they've been working on. This isn't just a fluke that Spurs have now scored goals from set pieces. This is actually a principle of the way they're playing now. Lovely little flick from Perisic. And Kane, really, I think it's unforgivable to see the way he got away from his marker there. I think it was Collins who's only meant to cut the game so far for Wolves. But isn't it funny, you know, Darren, for all the goals Kane scores, it's a simple header, but he's at the right place at the right time, which is an art in itself, isn't it, Darren?
It is an art. And also, as you know, if you watch the show regularly, people, you know, I love to analyse defending. I was the defender by trade. I watch what they do. And what Kane is a master at doing to defenders is, they spoke about it a little bit afterwards, was getting your striker to be looking at the defender's number. Once you're in that position as the defender, if you're looking for the striker, you've got a problem. And Kane is a master of doing that. He pulls you around in a way that makes you uncomfortable. And he's always switched on to the game. It's beautiful to see. And he did it. They showed it earlier. He had a clip earlier where we tried to spin him and he got held on to him. It was like, all right, I can't get away this time. But the system was beautiful. The corner tactic, they know what they're doing. You can see this is training ground. And Kane is there again. And it wasn't just Kane. If you watch some of the other balls that were going into the box, they're hitting a danger zone now. Everyone knows the area where the ball is coming into. Sanchez could have got one and he just missed it off his forehead. They're attacking the right areas, and that is training. And you've got to give credit where credit's due. We didn't look like a side who was going to do damage at corners and set pieces, and we really should, because look at our stats. We are huge as a side. Height-wise, we are massive. So we really have to use that element of our game and start dominating. I was about to tell Son in the early game, like early part of the game, don't take a free kick, don't do it anymore. But he then switched back on. And him and Perisic have got a great understanding of the formation in the box that we're wanting. And it's going to happen. It is going to happen. Like, It's not luck when we score, gentlemen. It's not luck. It's beautiful. Ladies and gents of the Spurs world, know that training is coming onto the pitch and it's looking pretty.
No, I agree. And Joe, on the screen there, Chris Whaley. Thank you
Great
so much,
stuff.
Chris, for sharing that. Last season, and I'll come around to Lee on this, 8 goals from set pieces total. This year, or this season, 3 games, 3 goals. Now, a question also in here from Wilkin on Sunshine. What a name that is. Coy's Wilkin on Sunshine. There you go. What a name that is. I think he just said that to get on the pod here. He says, we have now scored from set pieces in the last 2 games. Are we now reaping the rewards, Lee, of having Giovanni Di Vaio?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a brilliant stat, Chris. Thanks for sharing that. Stick that in the blue book for the archives. Yeah, I do.
Bring it back out of us.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what, Giovanni Vio? I think he's got 4,672 or different plays. And what's quite interesting is Son hit a corner. I think it was in the first half, early doors, and it just hit the side netting. It was absolutely woeful. But I wonder, sorry, that's my dog, Marley. But I wonder whether or not he was trying another systematic play. And actually, because it was quite a low corner coming in, wasn't it, for the Perisic to flick it on, like a near post, low flick on. So it's very interesting how we've got that kind of, can I say this, weapon that's now in our armory, because we definitely didn't have that, as Chris just pointed out. 8 set pieces last season. We've already scored from 3 of them this year. So this season, sorry. So it's definitely having an effect for sure. I just hope that he starts to improve the defensive side of it as well. I don't know, Giovanni, I don't know if you've got them in your playbook as well, but it'd be quite good. The cardinal sin is to concede from a corner, in my opinion. So
give the bloke a chance. Only been here for 5 minutes.
I know. But look, the fact that we're scoring, we've got something else in our armory. One of my best mates, Nick Martin, we sit together at Spurs. We have a funny joke. He always says he goes to the toilet when we get a corner, because it's completely pointless. Now he'll be sitting around in his seat.
He must be fuming the amount of goals he'll be missing this season at this rate.
That's what I mean. He's down in his seat now.
Oh dear. Oh, listen. I mean, again, all we can say is, isn't it great to see? And again, we talk about the Giovanni masterclass. Kane in general now, it does seem like it's almost becoming a classic Harry Kane goal when you think of England v Tunisia, Spurs v Arsenal, obviously the Hartman. Lee was with us for that game last season. Harry Kane is almost the king of the back post header from a near flick of a corner. And I think, again, credit where credit's due. Conte actually said, coming over to you, Hartman, Conte says, the big surprise in working with Harry Kane is his personality. He's exemplified by his work rate. He said, for me, the big surprise about Harry is not only the football aspect, but the person. Usually when you have this type of player, they can be a bit lazy without the ball. I mean, Harry, I do think, Darren, he is of different mentality, isn't he? I don't think, as we've seen, there's many players like Harry out there, which again is why I totally agree with Leon, need to get this guy to sign this long-term contract. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
soon, right?
Totally agree. Totally agree with what Leon was saying earlier. He's one of those players that he plays the game in a very different way. His passion for the club, for the bad, we can all see it there. It's evident. I'm going to put my neck out there and say I foresee that he's going to sign this contract very soon. He can see the vision. He's gonna put pen to paper, and it's going to happen. And right now, he's enjoying his football, and that's a beautiful thing to see. He's enjoying being at Spurs. He's enjoying the change of tide which is happening, and that gives you confidence. And he wants to win something with us. As much as these personal accolades, as Conte mentioned as well, the team is willing to sacrifice that to win something, and that's coming. That is absolutely coming. That win is on its way, and that trophy is on its way. And it's funny, Lee, you mentioned about set pieces at the back. I'm a little bit concerned because we've gone zonal, which is a very new thing for Spurs. Zonal defending. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about it. However, today I saw a difference in it. It was watching the second zone. Zonal, there's 2 zones. The tiny box and then the next one. And Sanchez and Højbjerg were instrumental in that, in calling out who should be picking up the second zone. It's growing. That takes a while to learn. And that always worries me, because you give the attacking team the run on you as a defender. So hopefully we can tie it up, because we're huge. We should win it in the air. But Zonal always frightened me.
It was a perfect example of that last week, when I know going back to 7 days ago or whatever, 6 days ago or whatever. But Koulibaly shouldn't have. I mean, it's an amazing volley. Right, let's get that right. It was absolutely a brilliant volley, but he shouldn't have that much space in that area for him to be able to volley that ball. So there is a couple of tweaks that need to be made. I agree.
Yeah, and I saw elements of that today. They were marking in a very different zonal way. So zone A and zone B was being looked after. So fingers crossed, they're learning.
Yeah, and just to reassure Roy there, great show, lads. Have we started hearing the ridiculous sell song request yet? Just not yet, Roy. Give it a couple more games. We'll surely be pouring out the Baron, not from last one on Spurs. So we would never do that at Min Son. How dare us any of us say he's not world class on this show? What a debate that caused last season. We're not going there again. I promise you, we're not. Let's go. Let's go round to Leon. Leon, just on Harry Kane, Conte praised him after the game as being an ultimate team player. And what I loved about, the words he used is that he goes, I know very well Harry would love to exchange these personal accolades, these achievements that he's had with trophies. It genuinely feels now that that's almost what Conte's here for now. He's obviously really, really well respected as a player and a pro, but you know what it's like. We saw it today when Spurs put out a tweet from their official account and says of Harry with, again, a personal accolade. It's what have you won? And the problem at the moment is he's got nothing to come back to it on. Is it now just about trophies being the final element of Kane's chapter in his profile to really cement him as being one of the greats of the game? And I mean that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, by the way, of course, Son is world class, but we won't go there. Look, I think you're absolutely right, Ricky. He's got all he needs to do is win something, and he goes down as a great. Even if he doesn't, and he gets top scorer, he's going down as a great. But he is going to win something. He is definitely going to win something with this Spurs team. We just feel a bit different now than we have recently, and I think Kane has obviously seen that. There was no angling for a move this summer, and he could have done if he wanted to. So he's clearly bought into the process. Him and Conte seem to have this great relationship with one another. Great recognises great, and I think that's what we've got in between the two of them. So there's just a different feel around the club that probably is exactly what Kane wants. And I read the piece, can't remember where it was, maybe in the Telegraph, about Perisic changing the way the club is perceived, and this idea of putting the logo on the team coach, this idea of turning up to the games in suits, this idea of having a set piece coach, all of these components that might seem small on their own, but you add it together and we've got big club mentality, and we seem as if we're on that different level that Harry Kane wants and frankly deserves to be at. So I think that he is going to win something at Tottenham. He may well win something with England as well. Let's hope. So there's a great future ahead of him still. He's still got many years left in him, and I know he's been around for quite a while, so we sometimes forget that. But at his level of fitness, I know he's got the occasional ankle injury and all the rest of it. But if he can manage that and keep up his levels of fitness, he's going to be a phenomenal player for many years. So it's not just going to be one trophy that Harry Kane wins. It's going to be plenty of trophies that Harry Kane wins, and I think that this season we've got an incredible opportunity. If we can pick up a trophy, and I think we can pick up a big trophy this year. I do believe that. I think all the components are there, and Harry Kane. Let's hope that he does sign that contract and can do what we all want him to do, which is keep scoring goals, keep winning, and start winning trophies.
Amen. Let's come over to Lee. Lee, to close it on Kane for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to interact there. I think some outstanding points from both of you really on that, and you, of course, Rick, as ever. I think I predicted earlier that I think England might win the World Cup. I think it's been geared up for England winning the World Cup, and that actually might cause Tottenham a problem. Let's hope it doesn't, but I think it might, because when you see Harry Kane, the amount of stick that he got that was levied at him last year. I mean, it's only a year ago that he was angling for a move and the whole City thing's going on. But he also come away from a penalty shootout loss in the Euro finals, where he would have gone down in history as the England captain that's won something. That's massive. And it had a huge mental effect. This guy is tough mentally, more than probably the people that we know. This guy is got it. But that had a massive effect. It had a huge effect on a lot of them England players, the Luke Shaws, Jack Grealishes, Declan Rice's, whatever. And it wasn't just the Man City thing. And like you said, Leon, it's a lot of different things coming together that makes something happen. And I think with Kane, if I have also got no doubt, and it's so weird because I totally agree with you. It is totally different this year. Under where we are, 7-8 months now of Conte, the Conte effect, where we are, the club backing him, the money's in the bank. Everyone's pulling in that crazy train is now actually a train just going all in the same direction. All we wanted under Nuno before that appointment, we wanted the club to say, where are we going? What are we going for? and you look at Manchester United up in the northwest, they have no idea where they are going and what they are doing, and it's very interesting because we were that. Now we've got our stadium, we've got the training ground, we've got our manager, we've got
the sporting director
in the right way, and that's why Kane will sign a contract. It's not when he sign it; it's when we announce it. That's the difference, right? But I think that he has to win a trophy. He has to win a trophy. What I would say is this, and it was the big one, so fair enough. But Alan Shearer won one trophy. He is an absolute Premier League legend, and rightly so, and still to this day. But it was a big one, and it was with Blackburn. But sometimes your stars have to align. And I just feel that Kane sticking it out with us and doing another 5 years with us will enable us to go on and win something. Lloris, Son, they deserve to lift a trophy at this football club, and I think they'll do it. I think that we will finally do it, and I think mostly, Rick, I know you want to move me on, so forgive me.
That's fun. Yeah,
I think that other media outlets, other fans, they now know that we are serious. We're not pretenders. We're now serious, and that it's up to us now to follow that through. And if anyone's going to make that happen, it will be Antonio Conte and his team, and the team that we've now put together.
Yeah. No, what I will just say very quickly on Harry Kane for me is that, he could have very easily gone to Man City, but I've always said if you win a title, you win a trophy with Tottenham, believe me, it's completely different to winning it, with a club that you've been raised through the academy from. And it also, I think, to the outside world, to win it with Tottenham, a club that is not renowned for winning. Again, the same with Conte. I think you win at Tottenham, it almost changes the category of that CV. I totally agree, Darren, what you're doing there. Honestly, I'm telling you, it's a massive difference. So Harry Kane, again, today, stepping up. Great for personal accolades. We all want Harry to win the trophies. We all want them to be at Tottenham. But what we'll just go for our final break of the show for our listeners that are on audio. Again, for our watching audience on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. Over 700 to 800 of you plus across all of our channels watching us live. Again, we're battling the boxing, we've battled live football, so thank you so much for all your support for Last Word on Spurs. How have we not? We've gone an hour and 10. We've not even touched upon Ivan Perisic yet. And we're conscious of boxing. We're going to get you to the undercard. Don't worry. We're going to get you in there for the undercard. Ivan Perisic. Now, to be fair, let's start with you on this, Darren. You know what? A bit of a slow start to the game for Ivan Perisic, but I think he grew as Spurs grew into that game, to be fair. And again, listen, the key moment, the delivery of the set piece second half, it's no coincidence. Perisic has been on the pitch for these two moments that have seen Spurs score from two corners. The only worry today will be that he did come off in the last 15 minutes, seemed to be holding his calf. Many report that he actually limped off. Darren, overall performance-wise, happy with what you saw from Perisic?
Yeah, very happy. Like everyone, it was two different performances. First half, no one was great. Second half, we saw the quality that we have in our team. And yes, totally agree with every comment that went through. Perisic, his crossing ability undoubtedly is amazing. Corners, all of that stuff, amazing. Positional sense, also amazing. He's a leader. He's a general. He's what we need in our team. And also, he has a long throw that is another weapon that we have in our armory. And that was great to see. It gives us a whole new dimension and puts us right on the box, right in there, right on attacks. So it's great to have him there.
I didn't know that, man. Did you, Hartman?
No, didn't know that at all.
I didn't know he had the old worried lapse about him.
No. I think I cheered when I saw that long throw more than I did when we actually scored. Because I was like, yes, we've got this. This is incredible. Yeah, amazing.
Honestly, do you know what, also today, at one point, coming over to you, Leon, he was as advanced as basically Spurs playing as a front four. Now, I know many are calling for Richarlison, but at one point we had Neto having to play as a right wing back in order to essentially have a back five to compensate the fact that Perisic found himself so far forward. And that's not, I don't think, coincidental. The guy was a forward in his earlier years. So isn't it great, again, Leon, to have a player that can have that ability to be flexible and play in a multitude of positions?
Yeah, I think he adds so much. I think he adds absolutely tons to what we do. And also, he knows the Conte way, doesn't he? He's not going to be under any surprises as to what Antonio Conte wants him to do. So I think he's a brilliant signing for us. I know he's, getting on a bit, but he's still got it. I mean, he's definitely still got it. We could see that from the glimpses there today. And he has just come back from a fairly long injury, so he's not up to top speed yet, and he will get there. So yeah, I think that Perisic is a brilliant signing. His delivery was good. Well, his delivery was fantastic. his final ball, utterly fantastic. And I think when you've got Kane in the middle on the end of those, you know, he's going to score an absolute hatful with him. I think Perisic is going to start scoring a lot as well, you know, get in those advanced positions. I do wonder, are we a little bit imbalanced? You know, could we have a better, someone more Perisic like on the right? Maybe, you know, there's always that argument. Maybe Jed Spence is that person in a few months' time once he's settled in. But that's the only thing. I think if we can have, if we can clone Perisic and put him on the right as well, then brilliant. What I would say, the one thing I would say, and I was frustrated by, Perisic cut in on the left, and he looked like he had an absolute peach of a chance to hit it with his right, and that would have been a goal, and he didn't. And I can't remember what he did. I think he went for a pass or something with his left foot, which he's more comfortable on. So I'd like to have seen him do that. He's probably just a little bit rusty, and that part will come. But I think Conte was pretty angry at that as well, because Sessegnon came on soon afterwards. But I do think that he's going to be a really good signing for us, and he's not a Spurs signing traditionally. Talking about how much we've changed. He's got to be on, a couple $100,000 a week, or certainly near about that. He's in his 30s. You know, he's not the type of signing we usually make. The fact we have made it signals a real sort of shift in the way that we're going about our business this year.
Yeah, I tell you, go on, Darren, go for it, mate.
One thing to add on Perisic, you said, Rick, about him being injured.
Yeah.
There's no injury. I'm telling you what happened. He saw Adama Traore come on, and he went, "I've done my shift now. Sessegnon, you're faster. Get on here." And he did the. And off he went. Trust me, he's fighting fit. That's an intelligent footballer right there. He knows what he's doing.
I can say somewhere right now is Jason McGovern watching underwater volleyball with his head in his hands. Please forgive me. There's somewhere Jason McGovern is watching that right now. His head in his hands to Darren's moment there. Lee, thoughts on Perisic for you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I echo everything that both the guys have said and all the comments as well. I think he is a bit of a game changer for us in terms of the profile of player that we normally go for, as Leon just touched upon. But I think it's the right thing for us. I think it's you can trust him already. Like already, you know that you can trust him, and actually. If Sessegnon does what he does against Southampton, you can trust him. And actually, Perisic does what he does today, you can trust him. Like, I think there's going to be some really good little partnerships breaking out in that team. I just want to quickly talk about Kulusevski, because you probably won't go into loads about he decent game for him today. Nothing special.
Trademark cross from him again today. I mean, again, decent cross. Great cross from Kulusevski.
Trademark cross. What I absolutely love about this guy is he is strong as an ox. I actually think he could play anywhere across the front three. And this geezer, he can hold that ball up and he can go. Somebody said, we had a cross from his right. Maybe his right's not strongest. His left is a wand. I'd be very interested. We haven't seen him as yet in the Tottenham shirt drift over to the left. We've never had a swap out. That Son today was a little bit, what we've all talked about. It was off his game, a little bit yard off. Maybe just swap over for 5-10 minutes. Just see what happens. So Son goes down the right, maybe Kulusevski goes down the left. Pinging them left footers in could be, very, very dangerous. Do you see what I mean? Like, we haven't seen that before. It was one of them things with Bale when he came back the second time, and everyone loves this show, knows that I absolutely love Bale. When he came back the second time, he always played down the right. He never played down the left. And obviously, he made his career by skinning loads and loads of people down the left, and he never really played down the left. And I always wondered, I know coaches in modern day football is inverted wingers and they want to come in. I just wonder whether or not Kulusevski could actually, or Deki, could actually go down the left in parts. Do you see where I'm coming from, guys and viewers and listeners? Just so it mixes it up a little bit. We're talking about this cam and we're talking about a lock picker and something to change the game, but actually just switching them over a little bit and making something slightly different. All of a sudden, Kulusevski's going down the left and then pinging one in. That's a massive difference in cutting back in and pinging one in. So, I mean, I love the bloke. I think, one of our own, Frank, said it ages ago. He said he thinks he's going to be the best young player in the Premier League this year. And I agree with him. But it was a solid performance from him today. And just on the Perisic thing, it'd just be quite interesting to see, Son moving around or switching. I don't know.
I think there's definitely the option there, 100%. There's definitely the option there, right? 100%. Conte's actually after the game when he brought on Perisic. When Sessegnon came on for Perisic, he said Sess is playing very well, but it's good to have a player like Ivan in front of him again. Ivan Perisic, he's now registered as many Premier League assists as Emil Smith-Rowe since the start of the 2021 22 season, and today only
Great
marked his third
great stat.
Premier League appearance. I had to throw that one in there. You have to forgive me on that. I know lots of Gooners watching, so please forgive me. Guys, conscious of time. I know we're battling, obviously, live sport, so we're going to just have a quick summary of the defence for Spurs on the day. Now, Davinson Sanchez, I think a lot of people were maybe a little bit apprehensive and concerned how Sanchez would come back into the team, bearing in mind, he's missed the first couple of games. Would he be able to come straight back in? I mean, Darren, listen, the stats are there for us to see. I think John Lily White Rose pushing it out there today. He's not conceded a goal as part of a back four now for over 7.5 hours, back five or even back three. I will say first half for me looked a little bit awkward at times, I think, with the ball. But overall, I think he was the best out of our back three on the day. I mean, is he shown himself to be a reliable and capable backup as we've seen back into last season, Darren?
You know what? I stick my neck out on him. He absolutely has. And there's nothing that he's done in the games that he's come in to shoot him down for. Like the result again today, it's a clean sheet. We came in and he's done his job, and you have to give him that. And I think also when you spoke about balls being played out, none of our back three today did well with the ball playing out. Dyer hit too many balls that just were too long for everybody. And I think what was happening there is that it was pressure. And because the players were getting too close to them, they couldn't find the out ball. And even Lloris was struggling, it was going, no one's moving. We became very static. So that's why it was hard to get an out ball. But when you talk about defensively, he had everything covered. And the reason why it's hard also in matches against teams like Wolves, who set up in that way, their striker is not really a striker. So they keep dropping into midfield as well. So the man you're picking up keeps changing. And that's difficult. So you've got to stay concentrating the whole time. And that's why Davinson did a great job today, because he was alert for it. A lot of the blocks that Lee spoke about, watch him again, Davinson Sanchez. Trust me, he did those blocks. So, guys, I'm in his camp and I'm there backing him. That worked for me today, and it can work going forward.
Absolutely. Leon, let's come over to you. Listen, Eric Dyer, not one of his best games in a Spurs shirt, but overall really dealt with what came his way. Ben Davies, overall, again, Ben, I think, we've been honest, it's probably not one of his best games, but again, did what he needed to do to get through the game. But very quickly, again, another player that seems to get lots of talking points at the moment, for good and for bad. And sorry, Leon, you've got the question, is Emerson Royale. As I always keep on saying with Emerson, lots of enthusiasm in there. But as we've always said about Emerson, maybe his decision-making letting him down. At one moment, Conte was absolutely furious when a low ball came in. It crossed behind everyone, and Conte on the bench, he was absolutely fuming. Leon, are you over the aggression or the frustration out of Emerson Royale? Do you accept him for what he is? Do you think Spence or Doherty should come in for him very quickly?
I've said it before on this podcast, Ricky, that I think he's a good player, Emerson Royale. I think that there's a good player in there, and especially at right back in a back four, which obviously is not the system that we now play. So for him to go in there and do what he does at right wing back, I think we can be grateful to having that in our squad. Should he be the first choice? I think the fact we've got 3-4 potential starters at right wing back is good and testament to the club's strength in depth, which we've lacked previously. So, I do think he's going to be rotated around. Doherty, I'd like to see him back in the squad back in the team because he played so well towards the end of last season before the injury. As I say, I do think that in that game in the first half with Wolves, we looked our strongest down the wings. I think this is the way they set up. We looked our strongest in the wide areas. Perisic was making the most of it, whereas Royale wasn't really. And I do think there is that attacking instinct that's lacking in his game that you do need with Conte's system. So I like him. I think he's a good player. I do think he could be upgraded at some point, and he probably will be. But that's not to say he's not a good squad player, and we need exactly those types of players in the team if we're going to win stuff.
Yeah, again, at the moment, Spence being included, as I mentioned earlier, the show would have meant 4 right wing backs. Now, we've obviously covered Højbjerg. Now, BT Sport gave Højbjerg the man, the match day, Jermaine Genius, and again, I know that raised a lot of eyebrows. But again, I think a busting display from Højbjerg, which again maybe points to the direction why there is Madrid interest there. We've kind of covered that already with Højbjerg, but again, shouldn't get over from the fact that he's a really important player in that squad, a trusted lieutenant. Whether he starts games or not, listen, we've got many games coming, 3 arguably a week at the moment, which again, from last one on Spurs, we're trying to get our head around there. So from that perspective, listen, there's going to be lots of games for Højbjerg, for Basuma, for Skip, of course, as well. So listen, there'll be plenty of games. Bentancur again today wasn't at his best, some sloppy moments, but you just know with Bentancur, as we saw first game of the season, he's going to come on strong. Lee, let's come over to you. I've touched upon Harry Kane, how clinical he was today for that goal. Sonny, I don't want to go too hard on Sonny because again, we know Son. Every time we've gone hard on Son on this show, he's gone and scored the next week. So again, I'm very conscious that although Son isn't playing his best at the moment, he still contributed towards a goal today. And we all know Son's not at his best. And I think, again, not really a talking point at the moment. If we're here 5, 6, 7, 8 games down the line, then yeah, it's one to maybe talk about. But maybe Lee, to kind of close it on Richarlison. Real live wire already came on. I think, again, lots of fans now are asking the question, when's he going to start? Because every time he comes on, he makes an impact today. Made a great run at one point, took the ball. I think Neves denied him with a really good tackle. But yeah, but you can see really, whenever Richarlison gets on the ball, fans are off their seat. We expect something to happen, right?
No, I completely agree. And it's really interesting you use the phrase there. I can't remember what you used. I've just totally gone out of my head. Classic.
It's a bloody good one, though.
And that was really good. Now, you mentioned about, what did you say? Richarlison, not
live wire?
That's the one, right? Sorry about that.
Live wire. Who's that live wire?
Live wire. It's the exact phrase that the Arsenal fans that my friends that I'm with, that were watching the game earlier, and they went, Richarlison is just a live wire, because they're going, oh, Jesus, look what he's doing and all that sort of stuff. What I don't realise is that this is perfect for Tottenham, and he's actually in some ways a perfect signing for us as well, because he changed the game against Chelsea. There's no doubt about that. And that live wire, that's exactly what we need. He might start games, and it might be the next game because of Son's form. I do think he needs a goal. I really wanted him to do well. I wanted him to score that opportunity that he had today. And again, I'm just going back to our defence as well, just quickly on that point, like with Emerson, Royale, and the guys. It's a clean sheet. I mean, they didn't do anything wrong. There was no dodgy mistakes in there. There's no Davinson Sanchez falling on his face against Man City, or do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing though, is there, Hartman? Right? They were pretty solid. Like, yes, the passing out and that sort of stuff wasn't great, but there wasn't mistakes in there, which is why we kept the clean sheet. In my opinion, like I said earlier, Hugo didn't have to make any real massive saves, did he? So I think that Son will come good. That's a no issue. But to be fair, Son has to come good because Richarlison's there. And Kane has to score because Richarlison's there. And
absolutely,
Kulusevski has to do well. Other Moura's in the mix, or Perisic. You said it yourself. He's almost like a left winger. Perisic could start in Son's position and play Sessignon. There's so many different options that we have now, which is really, really impressive. I think the key thing for us in summary today was that middle of the park where they got 3 and we got 2. We got overrun at times. But Bentancur, yourself, your doppelganger, Rick, Ricky Bentancur, look, you weren't at your best today, but
I'll be good next week. I'll come back.
But I think
I've got it. Don't worry. Oh, you're fine. I'll be fine. Trust me, I'm fine.
There was some proper class in Ricky Bentancur. There was no doubt about that. And I just think if we, as a unit today, if we'd have pushed up another 15 yards and played the high press game, I think that we'd have had a lot more joy in that first half. So I'm pleased, really pleased. Going to the early game, getting it out of the way, and then being able to watch the rest of the Premier League weekend. I think Harry Kane put it on his Instagram early. A 12:30 kickoff win, you can just relax and watch everything else. It feels good, and that's a perfect way to sum that up, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And before we go, Darren, over to you. This question here from John Hardy, who says, listen, by Son standards, he hasn't been at his best. Should Richarlison get the start next week against Forest for you?
For me, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Richarlison starts, if Basuma starts, and if Doherty starts. I wouldn't be surprised if he just mixes things up a bit, because it's rotation. It's not a punishment. It's just rotation. Let me take you out for a minute, put someone else in, because we've got the ability to do that. And I won't be surprised if we've done the changes next week. These guys have done 3 straight. Let's mix it up a little bit. So it's not. That's what our squad's about now. It's not an 11. It's a squad. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, Leon, we've got similar questions back from Ashish, who says, do you think maybe Richarlison should have started today, given the impact he had on the game? Thoughts on that for you, Leon?
I don't think you can drop Son after only 2 games. I think you need to just give him the chance today to see if he can get on the score sheet or do something. So no, I don't think he should have started. I think he should start the next game. I want, exactly as Lee says, I want him to score pretty soon, because I think he's a confidence player. He's one of those strikers who needs goals. And I got the impression today, when he did that amazing piece of skill, ran through, he kind of crapped himself a little bit and thought, bloody hell, I'm about to score a world-class goal here. And then obviously fluffed it a bit. So I think he needs that confidence. And I think once he gets a goal, that will come. Even in pre-season, in some of the games, he looked desperate to score. So, I'll back him to start the next game, and I'll back him to do well in that game. I think Forest are vulnerable. I know they've had a good start, but I think they're vulnerable, and I think we can definitely beat them. So, yeah, definitely for me, Richarlison starts the next game.
Absolutely. Well, guys, listen, we are back with you. We've got actually a bumper about 3 or 4 shows coming next week. Like I say, marriages are at risk here, but we keep going on Last Word on Spurs. The train is off, the coal is off, and the transfer window's coming with lots of great guests coming next week for your own pleasure. And I must say, of course, Champions League draw next week. McQueen's back for that one. Big night, of course, next week, Thursday night, Champions League draw. We've got it all covered here on Last Word on Spurs. We've had some great guests tonight that have given us all their time on Last Word on Spurs on a boxing special. Your Saturday night does start right here for that very last time. We've had the Hartman's been back, who's been picking the punches, and I tell you, he's been giving us some right hooks, left hooks. Darren, thank you so much, mate. Been an absolute pleasure.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Always love being here, and hopefully I'll be celebrating more throughout the season with you all.
Absolutely. I must say, you guys you've seen on the screen here, they're going to be elite panelists for, of course, Spurs' Champions League journey. The wonderful Leon Emiralli's back, a.k.a. Lucas Moore and Last Word on Spurs. We made it happen, Leon. We got a date in August. We did make it happen. Leon, thank you so much.
We did it, Ricky. I think between me and you, with your Bentancur and me, Lucas Moura, we could start a sort of tribute act, maybe. I don't know. But a pleasure to be back and great to share it with these lads here. So well done and a great 3 points.
Absolutely. And to the wonderful Mr. McQueen, who's away in Spain, Lee, thank you so much for all your time as always. Big shows coming up, Lee. Champions League also getting going in the next few weeks. It's a busy old time on Last Word on Spurs.
Absolutely.
We ready for it, Lee? We ready for it?
Mate, I'm in for it, mate. You know me. I'm in for the long haul, like always, mate. We're driving the crazy train, and again, I think there's nothing to be worried about, at all. If you're one of them pessimistic Spurs fans, and there's a lot of us, then fair enough. But look on the optimism side today. It's another 3 points, 7 points that we didn't have last season from them fixtures. And our next fixture is away to Nottingham Forest, which is an unknown. But if we go up there and we silence them, and we go good and go big and go strong, go front foot, we can turn them over easily. No problem.
Absolutely.
So let's see where we go. But thanks for having me back on, Rick.
As always, a pleasure, mate. As always, you know what's coming. Of course, so make sure you check out the original Hartman. Of course, there's his Twitter handle there. Leon Emiralli's there. McQueen's got it in his bio there as well. Check out all these guys on the socials. Go and hit them up, tweet them, follow them, do what you want to do to them within reason. Of course, be kind, be nice. From the wonderful Darren Hartman, from the wonderful Leon Emiralli, from the superb Lee McQueen. Guys, thank you so much for a Saturday night special. Keep faith. Spurs 7 points out of 9. The crazy train's just got going. As always, keep going. Come on, you Spurs.